I've never had a coaching parent say to me, Sheridan, I just wish I had given my child a phone earlier.
Sometimes even asking kids, how do you feel after?
Yes.
You know, after you've had a walk or you've been swimming or cycling, how do you feel after you've been scrolling for 2 hours?
Not if, but when you see something that makes you feel uncomfortable, please come and tell me.
Kia ora, welcome to Parents We've Met, where we talk about the magic and the mess of this parenting gig. Now, apparently, professional podcast, you're meant to introduce yourself every time, and normally I get straight into it. So let's take a moment now. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jenny?
I'd love to. I'm Jenny Hale. I'm here at the Parenting Place. I'm a mum to 2 adult kids and a grandma to 4.
Nice. And I'm Dayna. Many years ago, I used to work in television as a presenter, and I used to host radio shows, but now I'm at Parenting Place as well, and I'm a mum to an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I've got a boy and a girl. So that's a little bit about us, but today we've got an episode from the Coach's Couch, so I'd love to introduce you to another coach. We've got Sheridan Eketone in the hot seat today hanging out with us, so welcome, Sheridan.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome, Sheridan. How lovely it is to have you here. And look, we're in December and we're rolling towards the end of the year. How are you and your whānau doing?
Well, so the good news is the Christmas wreath that was lovingly made last year has made it through a year and it's on the door.
Nice.
Already?
Christmas presents, not so much.
We don't even have our Christmas tree up yet, which I'm really sad about, but we're moving house and it's just like all I want to do is get the tree up.
Yeah, you're going to have to wait.
Oh, I love Christmas. And there's so much chat about Christmas, about what you're going to do on the day, but also around gifts. And I thought this would be a great conversation to have because a lot of whānau, a lot of families are talking about that first phone and whether they do it for Christmas. So families, we think differently on phones, on technology, but I think it's a great conversation to have because there's some general things to consider when thinking about that first phone. So I thought that would be a great thing to talk into today.
It is a great thing to talk into, and I'm going to bring all my knowledge and all my ideas, which are a few. But I know that this topic is just so important and parents are hanging out for some guidance and some ways forward.
Yeah, I know I'm not very IT savvy, so I'm really happy that my husband works in IT. But you both can bring ideas to this. What are some of the things that people should be considering if they're thinking about getting that first phone for their child? Because it's not like a particular age and then a rite of passage, is it?
Yeah, it's no magical age that they're ready. I think we want to think about the why. So why do they need a phone? Phones are great for connecting us, but they can also be really challenging to manage. And so we might want to be just thinking about when is the right time to hand over a phone to a child. I've been thinking, guys, I've never had a coaching parent say to me, Sheridan, I just wish I had given my child a phone earlier. And so I think, it's okay to be cautious about when we hand over a phone.
Yeah, it's about the timing. It's so good. And the why behind it. Jenny, not all phones are created equal. We've been talking a bit about this. We realise this. You've got your phones that do all the different things and then phones that are just for, I suppose, texting and calling. So that's another thing to be thinking about.
Yeah. Do we need to hand over a fully functioning everything on it phone, or do we need to start with what I would call a dumb phone? So they're able to text us if the bus is late, but there's not that full range of functionality. Another option could be a kid safe phone. That's where you are able to add apps where your child it's age appropriate to do so. So they might just start with texting functionality, and as they grow and become more mature, we might want to add some other apps that might be helpful for them. So these stages, or you can have the smart watches as well, can be another option.
And you're talking about managing, like what they're ready for.
Yeah.
But what are some of the signs too to be showing that they're ready, like maybe with how they're working with their emotions and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think we want to be seeing a level of responsibility. Is your kid looking after their things? The things that go in their backpack, do they come home with them at the end of the day? That's a good starting point. But also, are they able to understand limits and manage their emotions if there is a boundary?
I think if someone else gave my child a phone, like if we were all around and an uncle or someone came and they were unwrapping and there was a phone, I would be a little bit miffed if I didn't have a heads up, because there's so much that you actually have to agree. And because you as the caregiver or the parent are thinking about all those particular things, how ready they are, responsibility, emotions. Yeah, wouldn't be great.
No, I think it is something that we want to lead within our family. And, you know, it might be that we decide in our family we have a family phone. And actually it goes to the kid that's going out for somewhere on the weekend. And actually the ownership lands with mum and dad. And then, you know, if we do decide we are going to give a phone, then we are having conversations around the boundaries around it. And actually, yes, you can use it, but I'm going to be able to check in or just keep an eye on things. And lastly, Dayna, I would encourage parents to think about what are we saying yes to, and is it okay to delay? I think more and more, Jenny and I are hearing parents that are really holding the line and just maybe not bowing to peer pressure at school or that cry of the child that's like, everyone's got it, I'm the only one. So it is okay for us to lead the sense of delay, especially with a phone.
Yeah.
And what helps with that too is parents getting together,
Yeah.
you know, and having a group of parents who've all making a stand like that will make it easier for children to not feel so isolated and that they're the only ones. And I think we need the support of one another.
Yeah, that village, hey.
I'm lucky that my kids are still drawing phones, you know, they're not interested in a real one. Well, maybe if I'd ask them, but that's far away. I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. But something I'm aware of, even though they're not about to get a phone, they are storing up information for when they do, because they are watching me, my husband, Nana who comes around, to see how we use our phones and how we model it. So that can be quite confronting too, just that thought.
It is. It's such a challenge for us because we're being watched and modelled upon how we are using our phones. And we forget that when we're gazing at them and when we're answering with the, yeah, okay, coming, and not fully present with our kids. And so I think we know that they're listening to us in other ways, but they are listening and watching and storing the way we use a phone. And I think children will really benefit from us overtly saying, I'm putting my phone down now. I'm absolutely here for you. I'm listening.
Yeah.
This is something I want to talk to you about. And yeah, really giving our kids a sense of there are times when you are not on your phone and that you're fully present.
And I've had to apologize or been like, you know what, I have been distracted. I'm sorry, you're right. I think too, if we're asking our kids to sign a contract and be like, this is where phones are stored, we have to be checking ourselves, and it's okay to be, because I think we're all a little bit too addicted to them. So actually it's a good reset for the whole family, maybe when your child is setting up their phone, to go, okay, well, where are we all storing it? Where is the space for us as the parent to have phone free times, because it's so good for us.
And relationship.
Sheridan, one of the things I do know that's really helpful for parents to keep in mind is that we need to have lots of conversations with our children around a phone, and not just that one conversation and then hands are off. So what would you recommend parents do?
Yeah, I think this decision around the first phone is your best opportunity to have some really important conversations, because you're never going to have a more willing child than the child who's about to get the thing that they so desire. So it creates this opportunity to really lay down some foundations of what this means for within our family now that you're going to have a phone, what we're saying yes to and what maybe we are holding off on. So it might be that we say yes to texting and being able to call them, but social media might be down the track.
Yeah.
So we love to think about having a little bit of a family meeting where you sit down with your child and maybe we've got a phone contract that you can find on our website that just, helps you establish what those boundaries are with your child. The reason this is so important is because when our kids have buy-in, they're much more likely to hold the line on the rules and the agreements that you set in place.
So this is a tricky one too, because probably some people, if it is right for their family and doing a phone, they might want it to be a bit of a surprise at Christmas.
Yes.
But you probably need to have those conversations. Like if you're getting engaged, you don't just spring it on it. You start having a little bit of a chat around marriage and what it could look like.
Yeah.
So even if you're thinking of doing it, probably looking at the contract. Actually, I'll put this in the show notes if you want to grab it. Looking at this, getting them to sign it for future when they're ready.
Yes.
So that, because once they've got the phone, they're probably not going to have the same like buy-in like you say. So I
Yeah.
love this agreement. It talks about things like agreeing where the phone's going to live at night time. You know, the fact that you won't be texting and on your bike or driving, depending on the age of your child. There's so many things that it covers. So, I mean, really important.
What would you say to parents who may have missed some of these conversations and things have already gone way ahead than they wanted them to?
I think I want to encourage parents to be brave, that we can have what we would call a tech reset. So again, we gather the kids and we maybe say, hey, guys, I've noticed there's a lot of scrolling on these devices, and I'm just wondering if we can work out what's a good amount of time that you feel like you should be on your device, and then have that back and forth and agree to maybe some firm boundaries and guidelines to move forward with. I think with tech, just when you think you've got it right, the holidays come and they've spent 2 days watching YouTube, and suddenly we need to rein it in again. So like you said, Jenny, just those conversations need to be often. It's never just one and done. Never just hand over this device and think that initial setup is enough to keep them safe for a long time.
And children seem to do better if they know that you are going to pause and have another conversation, and there might be a reset. So letting them know ahead of time that, there'll be some adjustments as you go, and then they know ahead. Children seem to do better when they know that some changes might be on their way.
Yeah, I love that. That no sneak attacks. We don't want to surprise them, especially our teenagers. So a bit of a heads up, hey, we're just going to have a bit of a hui. We just need to have a look at this again. The other thing I'm quite passionate about is, we've got an online digital parenting course, and in it we would say the foundation level of responsibility of the parent is to make sure there's good filtering on that device. So it's thinking about going into the app settings and making sure parental controls are on, or safe surfer is another option that we can do. So I think we need to think of that as the baseline of protection, and then those conversations that come after that, that's our building blocks of keeping our kids safe online.
We want our kids to be talking with us and being really open, maybe if they've found something they shouldn't have, they're having some issues, maybe being bullied. I can imagine that there'll be a little bit of I don't want to share this because I don't want to lose my phone. So how do we do that well? Because even when we had a sleep psychologist on, he said, if we're sending our kids to bed early, then it's having this bit of a thing with going to sleep. I can imagine we've got to kind of think about that too with phones.
Yeah, we do. And we almost want to set that up that, hey, not if, but when you see something that makes you feel uncomfortable, please come and tell me. I think it's important to not over restrict, like be too threatening with, if you do this, you're going to have no phone for 8 weeks, especially with our older kids, but more so creating this relationship where they know they can come to us if they've seen something uncomfortable. And sometimes we front foot that. So it might be that we say, hey, I was at work today and I saw this really weird thing, this photo. I'm wondering if it's real. So we start to build their ability for critical thinking with what they might be seeing online is important too.
Yeah, I like to, and it's a tool that you guys use for many different things, but that what would you do if?
Yes.
Because I've heard of, and we all hear all these stories about, there's someone on the bus, they've got their phone and someone tries to airdrop them a photo. So maybe what would you do if you were on the bus looking at something and someone tried to airdrop something?
Yeah.
Having those, like you say, front-footing those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, we know that children do better if they've had a rehearsal and there's a way of escape. So I love that you're encouraging children to chat to us if there's something that they don't feel right about, and to know that it's not a total restriction, but that we are expecting them to be curious. We're also expecting there to be stuff that they shouldn't be seeing, and that there's a pathway for them to access us and access help.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll actually put in the show notes a link to digital parenting course as well, because there's so much great stuff that's covered. And then, of course, to the phone contract. Now, there's a lot to think about with that, but I think it'd be really cool also just to touch on school holidays are coming up. I feel like it's a huge stretch in front of us, at least 6 weeks for most people. And phone screen time, I mean, we're going to be leaning into that. That's just part of life. And some of us will be away maybe out of reception, camping. It's a bit easier. But some of us are also working. And so we've got to be really honest and mention that we will be using it. So any tips for, school holidays and screen time and how to do it well?
Yeah. I love the idea of having a period of time in the day which is just everyone is off their devices. So a 2-hour at least window of absolute downtime, and get the kids to lead at what point. If we're all on holiday, it's an agreement we make. And that's also coupled with we will maybe be a little bit more flexible in the holidays, but just watching it, because before you know it, it can be, especially when you have teenagers in the house, they've binged 3 series of Gilmore Girls, and it's a couple of days later and they haven't done anything else. So how can we encourage them? Hey, what's the plan today? How are you going to move your body? What are you going to do that is not staring at a screen? So set some expectations, I think.
I know too, for us, sometimes that you look at the Ministry of Health, like what the guidelines are, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like we fall short.
Yeah.
But I think, like thinking of the Healthy Mind Platter, that's a Dan Segal thing that he does. Have they had any quiet time? Have they had connection? Have they been creative? So I sometimes will look at my day and go, where can I put some screen time in? And it's, for me, I'll be like thinking different slots.
I love
but
that.
There is that difference between passive and active screen time.
Yeah, there is. There's a big difference between scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours and maybe learning Stairway to Heaven. It's happening at my house. Her parents are hip hoppers and R&B lovers, but we're learning Stairway to Heaven. But I love that. What that active learning that happens online is really good. So the balance of that is good. And I love the Healthy Mind Platter. It's just helping us segment what is important for our healthy mind.
And I think children love to know that it's not just a rule. We're actually caring for their mind and their mental health. So you can sell it that way, that you care too much about how healthy their mind is. And so there are other things that will help support that. And sometimes even asking kids, how do you feel after? After you've had a walk or you've been swimming or cycling, how do you feel after you've been scrolling for 2 hours? So they are also learning to sense what it's doing within them.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Sometimes too, I think with screen time, I will... So my son, if he's going to, okay, you've got an hour to do some gaming here and this is what you're doing, we need a plan of what we're doing after. So I will get him to, one, make sure he's had some food so he's not coming off his device and he's hangry. But then going, okay, is it the trampoline? Are we going for a bike ride? Like I will get him to agree before he gets on, so we've got a bit of a plan. Because it's hard getting off sometimes.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Dayna, that I work with a lot of parents that are like, Sheridan, how do I get them off the iPad? And how do I get them to switch it off themselves? And I'm like, well, if they're 7, probably that's our role. So we front foot the turning off. I think it's a big ask for especially a little person like that to be able to go, yes, Mum, I think it's time. I'm just going to hit the button now. And, So let's lead that we take that responsibility of switching off. And then we manage their big feelings, because there are often some big feelings when the device goes off.
Yeah.
So expecting the pushback.
And I think of how I would want to be treated. Like if I was halfway through a movie and someone was like, there we go, we're done. Like, so I'm always thinking of, okay, if we've got this amount of time, what could they be watching that would finish on that?
Yeah,
or
beautiful.
I love the idea too. Sometimes I hear other people, they'll come alongside, the last 5 minutes and actually watch the game and be part of it. So it's not just so there's a few warnings and stuff coming up.
And we can let our kids know that when something ends, there is some grief, there is some disappointment. They've invested a lot. So when you're ready for a big emotion, when a child knows, I'm going to feel this, but my parent is actually going to sit with me, that's a great way to exit.
Yeah, so good. Lots to think about. If you want to find out more about the course, about the phone contract, things that were brought up, you can go along to our show notes and I'll put that in there. And also there's parentingplace.nz. We've got some great articles as well talking further on digital parenting and some helpful tips, so go check it out.